So here's how it really works. We're going to give you a very visual picture. You are vibrational beings. Do you know that? If you know that, you're way ahead of the game of most humans, because most humans see themselves as these tactile, human, physical, flesh, blood, and bone creatures who are observing manifestation and cataloging it and pigeonholing it and defining reality through those physical senses. So they see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it, and they get as much agreement from others on it, although it's really interesting how little agreement you really have with each other on so many things. But you do have a platform of experience that you do, many of you agree upon, and that's what you are calling your physical reality. So here you are in your physical body, exploring your physical reality. But before you were here focused, you were source energy. You were non-physically focused. You were not seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching, but you were being and you were knowing and you were feeling. You were vibration. And this is a very important thing for you to understand. Even though you are now in this physical body, fully functioning as this genius creator out here on the leading edge of creation, you are also non-physically focused. In other words, the source energy part of you is still the source energy part of you. And a part of that consciousness is the consciousness that makes the doctors proclaim you alive or later on dead. In other words, they don't know how it got there. They don't really understand it. They just know if it's there or if it isn't. Dead, alive, dead, alive. But that has given you a sort of screwy perspective, because you tend to think of yourselves alive in the non-physical, and then alive in the physical, and then dead in the physical, and then alive in the non-physical, and then dead in the non-physical when you're alive in the physical. And it isn't that way at all. You're always consciousness, and you are always alive. And sometimes part of that consciousness is focused in the likes of you. But there is always, while you're here in this physical body, there is a bigger part of you, a vibrational part of you, a source energy part of you, living and well and offering vibration. And you can feel all day, every day, what your vibrational relationship is with that source energy part of you. That source energy part of you is love beyond physical description. And when you find a reason to feel love, that feeling in your belly, that rippling through your body, that feeling of appreciation and love and joy is your indicator of your vibrational in sync, perfect alignment with the whole of who you are. No separation between you and you. But when you find something so aggravating that you focus upon it until it brings you to rage or hatred, that awful feeling that you feel is your emotional indicator that you've got a vibration going on, and you're certainly free to do it, but you're choosing to focus in a way that the source within you does not, will not, never did, and never will focus. And in your pushing hard against your unwanted, you affect a vibrational discord between you and you. And that's what all negative emotion is. It's your indicator of your vibrational discord between you and you. But it's not just between you now here in your physical body and whoever this source energy being was before you were born. It's current, real-time, present tense, vibrational relationship. In other words, in Australia right now, do you know it's Sunday? Isn't that weird? It's Sunday in Australia. How weird are they over there? Jerry and Esther were there for a while, and they called their staff in Texas and said, "We're living your tomorrow. We're in your future, and it's good. It's really good." But of course that wasn't accurate. It was just, the present was just named something different. In other words, it's all now, whether it's non-physical or physical, whether it's Australia or Chicago, it's now, it's all happening now. The vibration of who you really are as source energy is happening now, and the vibration of who you are here in your physical body is happening now. And your emotions are telling you the relationship between those two vibrational vantage points of you and you. This workshop, which is based upon the powerful law of attraction, we are calling the art of allowing, because it's really about you figuring out how to deliberately allow yourself alignment with who you really are. So here's how it works. You were source energy before you came into this body, and even though you're in this body, you are still mostly source energy. So here you are in this physical body, and it is so wonderful how you are exploring and observing and coming to your own personal conclusions all day, every day about what could be an improvement. Jerry and Esther, it is so funny to watch them because all day, every day, whether they are in the monster bus or whether they are driving one of their vehicles or whether they are staying in a hotel or sleeping in a campground somewhere or whether they are in Texas or whether they are in California, all day, every day, they are looking for ways to improve their personal experience. All day, every day. Esther said as she called the room service order in, I'm not going to try to cajole them this morning. I'm just going to place a very straightforward order for something that it turned out they did not have, but... In other words, all day, every day, trying to find the best possible way of having life be just slightly better than it already is, which when life gets really, really good means you have to become very discerning because life is already very, very good. And all day, every day, you are looking for opportunities to ask for more. And even if you do not put words to it, you can't stop asking because you live in a vibrational universe where everything you look at has an equivalent bounce to it. In other words, when you know what you don't want, what you do want comes into focus somewhere. Not where you are, but comes into focus somewhere. When you know what you don't want, what you do want comes into equivalent focus. And if you really don't want it, then you really do want it. If you really, really, really don't want it, then there's something that you really, 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 really do want. In other words, the other side of the wave is always equal and proportionate to the degree of investigation that your physical perusal has offered. So, all day, every day, you are knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want, knowing what you don't want, and sending these vibrational rockets forward, which, and here's the part that we so want you to hear because it's where we come in, as your rocket of desire moves forward vibrationally, it is received by the vibrational counterpart of you. That's us. It's received by the vibrational counterpart. When you ask for an improvement, we get the rocket. But here's the thing that makes us different than you. Temporarily, you'll get the hang of it. You will. When you send the rocket, we ride it with no resistance. When you set forth a request for a better feeling body, we be it immediately. When you set forth the request for more money, we be vibrationally more abundant immediately. In other words, if you're confused, you ask for clarity and we become more clear, because when a problem is coming into focus, a solution is coming into focus too. You can't stop that process. It's the process of creation. We just want you to understand that the more confused you are, the clearer the larger part of you is. And bless you for being willing to sift in an overwhelming manner in some ways, to bring yourself to your knees in confusion, because you send these amazing rockets of request for clarity, which source energy benefits from. Now, you can benefit from them also immediately. We just want you to know that as you emanate these requests, the larger part of you, the non-physical part of you, becomes the new and improved version of you. Can you follow that? Do you get it? That when you are poking around at a problem, the solution is coming into focus? Now, the reason that often you don't really get that is because when you're poking around at the problem, you're really involved in the problem, and you don't have access to the solution when you're poking around in the problem. That's why we tell you that the creative process is a 3-step process, and poking around at the problem is step 1. That's what causes you to ask, which is step 2. In other words, when you ask, which is step 1, poking, and the rocket emanates from you, source energy becomes a vibrational match to what you are asking for, and your work is to then become the vibrational equivalent of what you're asking for. We'll talk about this all day today, because this is what deliberate creation is. Better said, it's what creation is. It's only deliberate when you're aware of it. It's only deliberate when you decide that there's plenty of stuff that I've asked for, that the source energy part of me has already vibrationally become, that I could realize in terms of manifestation if I could bring myself into alignment with my own requests. In simple terms, when you say, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money. You're asking for more money, and it is being vibrationally received. In fact, there is a veritable vortex of abundance that has been amassed for you, and all cooperative components have already been gathered. But if you're over here beating the drum of the I don't have enough money, then you are the last holdout. You're not a cooperative component to the abundance that has been gathered. And so it makes you say, it makes you believe, it makes you tell others, I want it, but it does not come to me. My reality is I don't have enough money. I check my bank account on an hourly basis and it's not improving. The reality of it is, in my reality, Abraham, my present tense reality, Abraham, is that there's not enough money, and I don't care what you say about this vortex of creation, I can't spend that stuff. And we say, yes, you can. This is a currency that is abundance of all nature. It's abundance of clarity. It's an abundance of the stuff that you call money. It's an abundance of vitality. It's an abundance of well-being. It is cashable. It is redeemable. It is spendable, and it is yours. That's, we call it your vibrational escrow, your vortex of creation. It is the vibrational version of everything that you've asked for, but you've got to tune yourself to it, which brings us back around to something that you've got to acknowledge, which is not the easiest thing in the world to acknowledge. You are vibrational beings, and most of you don't even know it. You think you're flesh, blood, and bone, and you think this bank account has a reality to it, and we say, your bank account is just currency that is moving around. Really, when was the last time that you carried big bags of money and spent them for things? In other words, most of you have that little plastic thing that you use. And if you can accept the reality of that kind of currency, we think you ought to be able to accept the reality of this vibrational currency. In other words, it's real. It's a vibrational currency. It's a bank account with your name on it. No one else has access to it. You have a passcode on that. It is password protected. It is DNA protected. It's yours. It's yours. It's yours. It's yours. Nobody will ever abscond with it. But the fact that you're not cashing it in doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It just means you're not using the passcode that has been given to you correctly. And the way you do that is by feeling your way into the vortex.